Okay, I'm afraid that's your view of the low tech. But we have some Super Bowl analysis to do. Super Bowl 51 was played last night. An all-time classic, obviously. Your first overtime game ever in a Super Bowl. And let's get right to it. The starting point in an analyzing, this is gonna be like a 10, 15-parter. Who knows how long? We definitely have to go over every play, but this is without any highlights. This is an overall look at the game, and your starting point has to be, what did you expect before the game? Again, I gave a preview. Check out the Bob production, S.A.L.T production. No longer on the Salty Peppers, but on the Bob. But check out where I predicted New England would be in the 30s and Atlanta would be in the 20s. Now that's what happened. It ended up New England in the 30s, but Atlanta in the 20s. But I don't think I expected it the way it happened. Now, but let's use that as a starting point. Why did I think New England would be in the 30s and Atlanta be in the 20s? New England, when they had the ball, their offense is better than Atlanta's defense. Give Atlanta credit. They did, in the second half of the season, cause more turnovers. They did. They do have a pass rush. They have quickness. They have speed. It's not a nothing defense. It's not one of those Atlanta's not a high-powered offense, no defense. They have a little bit of defense. But there was no reason to believe that Tom Brady and his short passing game wouldn't be able to put in the 30s. And a running game. And, one of the greatest, obviously, you could call him the greatest now, quarterback of all time, whatever you want to call him, with Josh McDaniel, a very good coordinator. The intangibles of making play calls and coming up with something that'll work. So you'd think they're going to be in the 30s, maybe even defensive points. So, you figure they're going to be in the 30s. Now, what happened in the first half? In the first half of this game, one play could kill every drive. And on the 3rd and 1 on the first drive, Blunt didn't push hard enough to get a first down. That cost them one drive. Now, here's where the game plan in the second drive, Brady gets sacked after a couple of first down. Brady gets sacked, and here's my first point that no one is saying, and that what you did hear is that, Atlanta's pass rush was really getting to Brady. Now, that is true, but only because of the fact that I believe that Josh McDaniel was calling pass plays that required more than the short drop back and throw. Tom Brady's strength throughout his career is the short drop back or the type of calls that gives him time and get that ball out of there. And he's accurate, throws it hard, can throw it middle or sideline, short, 8-yarders, 6-yarders, 11-yarders. He was calling in the first half play calls that required a little bit more time. Let's give Atlanta credit, that Brady didn't have enough time for. That New England didn't give Brady enough time for. And therefore, the calls should have been shorter passes. Get him out of there quick. He's got to see that. And in the second drive, the sack where, the bull rush where the lineman got pushed into Brady, that sack happened because he's looking for a longer pattern. Now, Atlanta came up and did do press. Somebody pointed out to me, Atlanta was pressing, so maybe that's what tempted Brady. Let's call plays that are a little bit longer, because if they're going to come up and press, we can get 15 and 20-yard throws behind them. But again, that was not working. Atlanta's pass rush was good enough that Brady didn't have enough time for that. So, no reason that I'm going to give Atlanta credit for the pass rush, but I'm going to give New England a little bit of the blame, Josh McDaniel, on the calls that were too long, that took a few extra seconds, that Brady had to have protection, an extra second or two, sometimes 3. Sometimes he rolled out of sometimes Brady moved up in the pocket. The second sack on that second drive was Brady moving up on 3rd and 20 and holding it. Throw the ball for 15, you'll go for it on 4th and 5 anyway from their 35. No, Brady holds on to it too long, gets sacked a second time. That cost them the second drive. Another thing, they should have abandoned the run earlier. They weren't doing much in the running game. And then there was the fumble on the third drive, so that cost them points there. But just the fact that they were running it too much was created a couple of 3rd and 7s. And on 3rd and 7, you have to go into pass, and Brady may not have the time on a 3rd and 7. You're putting Brady in a situation, they were too often running the ball and getting only a few yards and putting Brady in obvious passing situations. Then he got the pick six. There was a run on 2nd and 10 that made it 3rd and 7. Again, do I expect Brady to throw a pick six? No. But again, Atlanta was getting just enough pass rush that Brady didn't hold on to that ball an extra second there, threw it where he should not have. I'm going to give Brady some of the blame there. Again, Josh McDaniel for setting up the 3rd and 7, but Brady, of course, bad throw. He's got to see that second guy's coming up. That's right in front of him. Pick six. There you go. And then they only end up with, they had the ball 2 more times in that half. One drive escapes me. Let's see how much time I've already done here. Okay, we're good. One drive, for the drive that got the field goal, the penalty, a hold on Bennett cost them possibly getting 7 before the half, and they only get 3 the whole first half. Turnovers can happen. A sack here and a stop on a 3rd and 1 there, and there's your reason why they only had 3 points. Give Atlanta some of the credit, but I want to blame Josh McDaniel a little bit there as well. And of course Brady with a couple of bad throws and not abandoning the run. They ran the ball a little bit too much in the first half. Okay, second half, obviously 4 out of the 5 times they had the ball they scored, so they ended up with the 30. You want to say Atlanta, when a team's ahead, they go into a little bit of a prevent. They don't play as aggressively. The sun, by the way, came out. This may affect the view. The sun just broke through here in Florida. This is really low tech. You may get a big glare. I don't know what you're going to get, but I'm holding this over here. You can hear my voice. Second half, obviously, Brady 4 out of 5 times that they had the ball. They got 1 field goal, 3 touchdowns, and then the touchdown in overtime. So tremendous second half for Brady. We will go through it, of course, in the highlights to show that in that drive that tied it from 28-20, there were a few times there that wasn't a perfect drive. And you got the Edelman catch that is comparable to the curse catch of Super Bowl 49. But let's give Brady credit there, of course, obviously, and 4 out of 5 scores, and on the 5 drives, including the second, then you got the overtime. Now let's go to when Atlanta had the ball. When Atlanta had the ball, I said before the game, there's going to be a few times where he's going to get stopped. Mr. Belichick will find a way to stop him. Atlanta's going to move the ball. And indeed, that came true. That I think went as expected. Twice, the first 2 times that Atlanta had the ball, a sack hurt their drive. And that was going to be a theme in the second half as well. 2 times Atlanta had the ball, they got 2 touchdowns, 14 points. They got 7 off the pick six, so they got 21 in the first half. 2 out of 4. I would say, yeah, that's about what I expected. 14 points from Atlanta. Not going to score every time, even though their offense is better than New England's defense. But you'll figure Belichick will come up with a way to make some stops, maybe even cause a turnover. And that happened in the second half. A big turnover, a sack on a blitz that, again, I'm going to blame Matty Ryan a few times here for taking a sack in situations where that put him out of field goal range, including after the onside kick. After the onside kick that New England tried, Atlanta's already near field goal range. A sack there hurt him, put him out of field goal range. And of course, the sack fumble, when you have the lead at that point, 28-12, I believe it's at that point, you cannot allow Mr. Ryan. That's not your blind side. It's not your blind side. Well, it was just a regular sack. Nah, at that point, I know you want to be aggressive. Yes, Atlanta should be aggressive. You don't rely on your lead and just run the ball there. You try to be aggressive, but you also have to be careful. I'm going to give a little bit of the blame to Matty Ryan for allowing a sack fumble. So sacks in this game were big for New England. Atlanta does get the touchdown to make it 28-3, and that's it. 1 good drive. And the biggest, of course, biggest play of the game, the biggest sequence was when with the lead 28-20, and after Julio Jones makes a catch that I'm going to compare to the Mario Manningham catch, where Manning put it right where it had to be. Here Ryan put it right above the cornerback, who also would have been picked off, and then Manningham has to catch it and get his feet down. Exactly when Jones makes a better catch and even a better attempt to get his feet down. They're in field goal range at this point. Mr. Shanahan, don't run the ball 3 times there. Because anyway, New England, you could get first downs. That's not being too conservative. Of course, you don't take a knee. That would be too conservative to rely on a 40-yard field goal. Ask Mr. We'll talk about this. Ask Mr. Marty Schottenheim. Ask Mr. Herm Edwards the week after, who did that with the Jets against Pittsburgh, relied on a 40-yard field goal. That didn't help them. And San Diego relied on a 40-yard field goal against the Jets. That didn't help them. Gary Anderson could even miss a 40-yard field goal on his first, only miss of the year in a Minnesota against Atlanta championship game. So you don't want to rely on a 40-yard field goal, but they 3 runs there, and you might get a first down and put the game away that way. Even if you don't get a first down, you get closer, it'll be a 35-yard field goal, 34-yard field goal. So you got to run the ball there. They get sacked, and then they get a holding penalty. Even after the sack, they could have hit a 53-yard field goal. No, they end up being sacked sacking on a hold out of field goal range. We'll talk about the great drive there by Brady then to tie it with 3 minutes left. The great drive in overtime. It ended up New England in the 30s. It ended up Atlanta in the 20s, but not exactly as scripted. New England should have lost that game. Final score 34-28 in a classic. We're gonna go through this game in detail. I want to keep this at about 11 minutes, and there you go. That's our first S.A.L.T production, Super Bowl 51, Super Bowl analysis. Very low tech. As you can see, I don't know about this view was a little wild, but we're gonna get into this game in detail coming up.